Hello everyone, greetings from ECell at IMK. Welcome to Startup versus COVID. Today we have Origin Health with us. Origin Health is a new age health tech startup which focuses on harnessing the power of AI to assist clinicians in performing pregnancy scans to reliably screen for birth defects in the prenatal stage. I would ask
Repre-
Bharadwaj to introduce our guests today.
right. So representing Origin Health, we have Jens Thang, the co-founder and CEO, and Dr. Shripad Krishna Devalla, who is the co-founder and CTO at Origin Health. Jens is a serial entrepreneur who has launched companies like 99.co, which has been backed by Sequoia, Dimension 5, and Mira Scholars. He previously worked with Standard Chartered as an investment banker and is a graduate of NUS and Wharton Entrepreneurship Program. Dr. Shripad is a graduate of NIT Trichy and a PhD from NUS at the Octagon Research Group. His thesis focused in the area of deep learning. He has extensive knowledge of the AI and deep learning space with years of experience working in these technologies and has also been a robotics researcher in the past. So thanks a lot, Jens and Shripad, for joining us.
Thanks for the invitation. Yeah.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Yeah, so we'd like to start off with an icebreaker. So, what is Origin Health? We'd love to know, our viewers would love to know about it.
So, as you rightly summarized it, so in Origin Health, we are trying to develop AI systems to help clinicians perform pregnancy scans at the level of specialists and help them to screen for birth defects at the point of examination itself. So, more than 9 months ago, my co-founder Jens and I, we met through Entrepreneur First program in Singapore, and we wanted to build something meaningful in healthcare space. My entire PhD was focused in developing AI for medical imaging applications. So I think that gave a good sense of a satisfaction at the end of the day that you're contributing back something meaningful as an engineer. So I wanted to remain in healthcare space, and Jens was also trying to look for somebody to do something with somebody meaningful in the healthcare space, and we kind of clicked and we started exploring what are the areas we can venture into. And based on my experience in developing AI for medical imaging with applications in light and sound-based modalities, we figured out that, okay, we wanted to work in ultrasound imaging. And we wanted to work on a technology that had a single and a very large impact as well in one shot. And we found out that the best use case for that would be obstetrics ultrasonography, which is one of the largest use cases of medical ultrasound. So then we started talking to clinicians across countries in Singapore, India, UK, and a few other countries as well, and figured out that the global challenge for clinicians today is to reliably image and interpret pregnancy ultrasound scans, which is a necessity for every pregnant mother. And we decided to solve this problem, and that's how Origin Health was born.
Right. So, guys, coming up with the idea is one of the most crucial thing, right? So, how did you guys stumble upon this idea? So, our audience would love to know.
So personally, I'm from a healthcare background, and so we wanted to work together in something in the healthcare space. And my skill set were in AI for medical imaging, and we're trying to explore what are the most impactful areas we can work on. And we figured out that medical ultrasound, specifically obstetrics ultrasonography, which is one of the largest use cases of medical ultrasound, was a impactful area. And when we are looking at, what are the possible options we can see here, we figured out that detection of birth defects is one of a crucial application. And so we started to explore the early detection of birth defects using AI, specifically from the first trimester scans. But then we realized that for our technology to have a really high impact, it must be a use case for a lot of people. But it turns out that not many people are actually getting first trimester scans, and people are not even aware of first trimester anomaly scans. So this is when a lot of clinicians and hospitals who are in touch with us told us that, hey, we have a bigger problem here, which is the mid-trimester scans, which happens between 18 to 24 weeks. So this is one of the scans which almost most pregnant women go for. And this is the sector where there are not well-trained people in high-volume centers to actually do this examinations very reliably, and they felt they needed an assistant to help them to interpret these scans and flag high-risk pregnancies and so on and so forth. So this is where we felt that, yeah, this is where AI would be a good fit, and that's pretty much how Origin Health started.
Right, right.
I'll be a bit more candid here. So
Right.
finding an idea is really challenging. So it's not that on day one we decided to work on this idea. So it's through a lot of conversations with clinicians, and that's really important. And what we realize is a lot of entrepreneurs to be, they get stuck with their idea, the first idea that they have, right? And we try to avoid the trap because it's so easy for us to, be in our room, be in our office and start thinking about ideas which might not work in the real world. And this is really key. So what we do again is, we started approaching clinicians, in Singapore, UK, also India as well, to really understand the problem space really well before we actually validate the idea that we have. And so I would say that today, our idea is a combination of all these conversations and leveraging on again Shripat's expertise as well, how we can have a good marriage of using what we know, our expertise, to solve a real world problem and not a problem that we just made up in our mind. Yeah.
Right. So going on to our next question, which kind of is a follow up to this, is validation is a crucial part, right, for any startup. So how do you get your idea validated, especially for a deep tech company like yours? So product building could take a lot of time. So how do you validate in a deep tech scenario?
So I think our ultimate ground truth here was the people who need this the most. So as Jens mentioned, to come up with this final idea, it was through multiple iterations of refinement from clinicians globally. So once we figured out what exactly is their pain point, so we had access to a proprietary data set, and we built a proof of concept. And based on that, we showed the clinicians, hey, is this what you want? And that's pretty much how we have been doing our validation. Again, because COVID, has put travel restrictions for everybody, the actual in-person validations have been challenging. So pretty much our entire development, validation, and marketing, everything is happening via Zoom right now. So yeah.
Right. So it could be quite challenging, right, to validate over Zoom. So how do you do that?
We literally do live demos and stuff on Zoom for clinicians on our prototype.
Okay.
Yeah, in the beginning, we were faced with a lot of rejections, to be honest. So a lot of, because we didn't have a very solid idea to begin with. We had a direction, a certain idea. When we start talking to clinicians, in fact, it was the challenging part about trying to understand what's the problem that they have. Because sometimes they might not even know that the problem exists for them, right? They might not even know that the problems that they face is a problem. So it's about having conversations with them, teasing out, okay, what are the challenges you face, and and just really try to observe as well, what they say about their work, what they say about the how they are using technology today, so on and so forth. So again, it's a lot of rejections. It's really about pushing on to really figure out, okay, what is the problem that we're trying to solve here? So only that, then we can have some kind of validation if our idea has some legs in the world. Yeah.
Right.
I think, adding on to Jens, to be honest, I'm an engineer and he's a finance guy. None of us have a medical space. So we struggled initially asking the right questions. Because only if you ask the right questions, you get the right answer. So we were asking something else and they were saying something else. So a huge communication gap, and we were circling around trying to narrow down on what exactly to do. So yeah.
Right. So
and a lot of times they might not even be honest with you, right, about the problem that they have. Yeah.
Right. Definitely. So like Shripad, you had mentioned, right? So you are from an engineering background and you are a PhD, right? And Jens is from finance background. So like the next question is about finding a co-founder, right? And you both are a part of EF.
Yep.
So like choosing your co-founder, how crucial is it? How did you go about it? And any advice for our listeners?
I think Jens should take this question. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Finding co-founder is the single most important thing you can do for your startup, because whatever idea you have, you're going to face with so much challenges, rejections, and so on and so forth. So, and I think co-founder relationship is so-called, a lot of people do not pay attention to it. It's so important because for, let's say for Shripad and I, it so happened that, our personality match. So we can, we take things pretty serious as well. And we have a similar vision. So I think it's getting aligned as well on the values, what we truly value in this world. I think these are things that I think a lot of times we need to pay attention to when looking for co-founders. Yeah.
I think one example from our co-founder journey, which I strongly recommend for others as well, is to stress test the relationship between co-founders as early as possible. So my co-founder literally stress tested it with about 109 questions. I keep telling this to everybody. So we got connected through Entrepreneur First, but we started working way before the ES program still started. I think about 3 months before, so we started working. So initially, because he's not from healthcare space, I've not met him before. He's not met me before, and in fact, he was in China at that time, so it was fully remote and stuff. So we didn't know how the dynamics. Everything sounds interesting and exciting, but only when you see the person, you know whether this will work for you or not. So Jens came down when we met and stuff. So he had 109 questions written down on trying to understand me better and to understand the vision, what we have, and what are the aspirations for the company and general traits like how do we handle stress and stuff. So so that was basically my stress testing moment. He put me for Q&A for 3 hours with the questions. Okay, so what do you think about this? Kind of a hot seat thing, but yeah.
Right.
109 questions is only half the list, so I didn't finish. Yeah.
That's
it's important to go through this whole stress testing phase at a very initial stage. So when adding on to the point you asked about how important co-founder relationship is, I think personally we both believe that the right co-founder is more important than the right idea. So you have the right co-founder, ideas will always pivot and things will change, but you need somebody to back you up and stand with you.
Absolutely. So like if Jens, you can share it, we'd love to look at that list.
Sure, definitely, yeah. It's proprietary, so.
Okay, no problem.
But this seems like a very brutal way to check compatibility. 109 questions. So I have a question, and this comes from my personal experience. When you're looking for a founder, you are looking for somebody who's compatible, who is understands your vision, shares the vision, and while also you want somebody who complements your ideas, who is ready to disagree, who shares a very different perspective of the world, and who can, like Jens did, put you in a hot seat anytime. So how do you find this match of somebody who is similar yet very different from you? How do you go about it?
I think it's pretty much what you said. So we are super complementary to each other. So Jens has not directly worked on technology per se during his education or during his work. He's more in investment banking and finance space. But what he has done is commercialize technology. So I have built technology, but I have not commercialized it. So he knows the economics and the scaling part of it. I know the lab and the prototyping part of it. So I think that was the fundamental initial thing for us to click. And I think the other reason why probably we clicked was the kind of vision what we shared. We are not looking for something to make a quick buck, but we wanted to do something really meaningful and have a long-lasting impact.
So we now know about Origin Health, and definitely from what I've read, it's a brilliant idea, and you guys are doing really well. But something that has been bothering not only us, not only you, the whole world for the past about a year now. It's been months that the world is going through this pandemic, and it has brought in changes that usually take years, maybe decades, but now we see those changes happening in a matter of days or weeks. So how are you guys tackling that? Right? How is your industry affected due to COVID?
I have a thesis about COVID and startups, which is that the most important startups will start during this COVID period. Because again, the market is not ready for any startups that are not important, non-critical, non-crucial. So if you're able to excel in this period of time, it really shows that the world really needs what you're trying to build here. So again, good startups or important startups or critical startups will get built no matter what, no matter is it COVID or whatever situation it will happen. And we, of course, Origin Health hopes to be one of them, solving a real world problem that needs our technology. So I think COVID situation is both an opportunity as well, not only a crisis. It's an opportunity because it really can stress test the value of our company in the real world. And again, so far, I think we have proven that there's gotten quite a bit of traction, meaning that there's really a critical need for what we're trying to build here. So I would definitely see it as an opportunity than a crisis.
So like the famous finance professor Damodaran, he says, right, the
NYU,
companies
right?
that emerge out of COVID, they are going to be the strongest companies. That's what he said in a recent webinar.
Oh,
So,
great. Great minds think alike, right?
Okay.
Definitely.
Just kidding. Yeah.
No, as a follow-up to that, these are, as you said, very pressing times, and startups that come now are gonna, test these turbulent waters, and if they stay, they are really critical, and are, worth the value they are quoting they have. So, how is Origin Health doing in that sense? How are you guys pivoting yourself, keeping your organization on the track you had planned for, the vision you had for your company in these turbulent times?
Because we are working in the healthcare space with clinicians and doctors and hospitals. So we were quite badly hit initially because the entire focus of every hospital right now was to allocate resources for COVID. The last thing people are interested was, what we were doing in. So that was the initial challenge we had. And eventually what also happened was a lot of our collaborators who were working globally as well were directly impacted by COVID. So things got slowed down very much. But we also started to use COVID to the whole COVID lockdown situation to our advantage as well, where we saw that a lot of people are actually losing their jobs and internships. Companies were brutally laying off people and stuff. So, but we also wanted a team that was determined to do this. So we thought that why don't we work with those people, who unfortunately lost their jobs and internships. So we built a fully remote team with engineers from India and Singapore. In fact, a lot of them had to go overseas for their internships because of visa issues. Everything got cancelled. So we made use of the best talent in this time. So that's how we are trying to fight against COVID right now.
Yeah. So, and for myself, again, I need to put on my finance hat because we need to be super capital efficient. Every dollar has to go a long way. So each time we spend every single dollar, we need to justify it. Okay, what's our ROI on every single dollar, right? Because we need to make sure that we are able to last throughout this entire period of time. So there are a lot of things that we did to make sure that, for example, ensuring that our engineering resources is being stress tested, right? So we make sure that everything that we spend on is really critical and of value to us. So this actually trains the entire company and the team as well to be very, very disciplined when it comes to financials, because we are always looking at our cash flow every single week to make sure that, okay, what's our burn rate? How long more can we last? When do we need to fundraise and all that? So it makes us a very, very lean and very, very fast team as well, because, we are always stress testing all these assumptions that we have about finances. So I think this is one thing that probably a lot of startups should start doing as well in this situation, because we will never know when this so-called COVID crisis will end, and we need to be prepared for the worst to come. Yeah.
Very rightly said, Jens. It correlates to what I had in my mind, that the resources, as long as they last you can sustain your idea. And what is the best way to ride this wave and wait till COVID-19 subsides, and then we can come back with full force. But right now is a good time to test yourselves and how efficient you are with money. And it brings me to my next question, which talks about your investors. Like, how are they doing? Are they supporting you in these times? Have their expectations changed? And the general scenario of investors in the industry, how are they taking this pandemic? And how do we look at it as budding entrepreneurs?
I can give a brief overview of like the fundraising landscape right now. I will sum it up in one word: it's brutal. It's really brutal. It's really challenging right now to fundraise. I'll be honest with you guys. But then this ties back again to investors are always looking for great ideas, great companies to invest in. In fact, this actually helps us in a way because right now investors have more time to look at good companies and immediately remove all those companies that probably they don't feel there's any potential and stuff like that. But having said that, of course, a lot of investors are very cautious about putting their money in right now. And just a bit of sharing again. But again, investors, their game is basically to invest, to allocate capital, right? And they're always looking for good companies. So as long as your idea makes sense, you have traction, you have a good vision, I think that's not going to stop investors from putting in money. A lot of investors, again, a lot of investors have raised funds. They've raised big funds, big rounds for themselves this couple of months. So meaning that they also need to allocate their capital, and we just need to make sure that we are positioned ourselves as really one of the best companies for investors to come in. So I would definitely say that it's tough, but as long as it makes sense for the investors to come in, they're still willing to. Yeah.
Right. I mean, thinking from an investor's perspective, right? Great companies could be available at a discount right now because
yes,
the cash flows are, there is some crunch over there. So yeah, that's a great perspective in that sense.
correct.
Actually, Jens, it reminds me of something my dad says, and if I were to translate that to English, it means the real test of an umbrella is only when it rains.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Something on those lines, and definitely if, our viewers are, interested and they think that, this is not the right time, Jens here is telling you that this is maybe the best time to test your idea, right? So go ahead with that. And
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, so, it is what we were thinking to talk about, that people are still very skeptical, and young minds like our viewers here, and people all over the world are a little concerned about what's going to happen next, and it makes you unsure about yourself, right? So you think that, is it the right step, or should I just stick to my job and not venture out into building my own startup? Maybe this is not the right time. So what do you have to say to them, Jens? And Sripat, if you could give your 2 cents on that.
Of the view that not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. So I don't believe in pushing for entrepreneurship and stuff like that. I truly believe that a good entrepreneur will start a startup no matter what situation you are in. If you're an entrepreneur, true and true, you will start a startup. You will do no matter what to make it happen. And this is really critical. If you have any single doubt, about starting a startup in a COVID situation, probably you're not cut out for it. Let's be honest. So I'm just being brutally honest here. So I think it's really important. It's about self-awareness as well. Are you a true entrepreneur, or are you an entrepreneur wannabe, right? And again, if you're a true entrepreneur, opportunities are out there, right? It's really about you searching for all these opportunities, getting over all these challenges, no matter what, even in good times, you're still going to have challenges. So it's just a different kind of play that you're looking at right now. So I'll definitely encourage people who are true entrepreneurs, they really want to do a startup, to really go ahead and do it. It's not despite of COVID, it's in spite of COVID as well. You should go ahead and do it because this is really what you want. That's why your heart tells you, this is, the world needs what you're trying to build here. And this is really, really key. Yeah. So other than that, I don't think COVID should be an excuse for you. Let's just put it. Yeah. It shouldn't be an excuse. Yeah. So I would just say, kudos to every entrepreneurs looking to start up during this period of time. I wish you the best and luck. And I think you will definitely do really well if you manage to get a startup up and running during this period of time. Yeah.
Right. I mean, definitely like Uber and Airbnb, right? during the
Exactly.
financial crisis.
Exactly. Perfect. Right. Yeah.
Right.
I think
So
for
that's
us, the other thing is so COVID actually made it more exciting for us with limited resources and this cash crunch, time crunch, there's a lot of hurdles. So as Jens mentioned, only if you probably have the true spirit that yeah, this is exactly what you want to do and this is going to be the sole purpose of your life. I think those kind of people will stand through this. So in fact, even before COVID, peaked in India, in Singapore, it's probably we are having sort of partial lockdowns probably around I think since Feb or something. So we have been in COVID for about 6-7 months right now, and I don't think it has stopped us, and it has in fact made us become more and more aggressive in our product development only. So yeah.
right. I mean, if you can handle COVID, you can handle anything, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. COVID is going to be a new norm. So, we need to deal with it no matter what. This shouldn't be an excuse. Yeah.
Right. And guys, can you give us any idea about, which industries are going to be favorable post-COVID?
One of the important realizations a lot of countries have got right now is related to the health and the food securities. So particularly from a Singapore perspective as well, the government is pushing a lot on trying to do a lot of local food development. In case there's another pandemic, supply chain is cut. How do you sustain your country? So food tech and agri tech is getting a lot of push. And of course, my passion for healthcare always remains. So healthcare as well. In fact, during COVID, a lot of new healthcare companies have come up, like for not just for COVID diagnosis, for screening and for helping nurses and doctors even performing these tests, the normal COVID tests. A lot of telemedicine companies have come up, and a lot of startups that are also offering video consultation have also come up. So people are actually using a crisis to get something really powerful out there.
I feel that as startup entrepreneurs, we are building for the future. We are not building for the now. We are building for something 10 years from now. So what we should be asking is, in the future, 10 years from now, what would the world needs? So we shouldn't be looking at very short term, looking at what because of the COVID situation. So it's really putting ourselves into the future, right? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and ask the question, right? Okay, what does the world need by then, right? It could be food tech, it could be agriculture, or it could be even finance or fintech, medtech, whatever that is. There are opportunities everywhere because things are always moving, right? The crisis just revealed a lot of things to us. It's all about us grabbing opportunities that, what is this crisis will mean 5 years from now. So let's look at 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and build it backwards.
So great, Jens, you talked about the future, and if you guys could give us a little glimpse into what's in the pipeline next. What is Origin Health doing next, or what are you guys planning to do next? Give us a little glimpse into that.
So at the moment, we are trying to work on screening of birth defects to help novice clinicians to screen at the level of specialists. And with COVID becoming no one knows when this is going to end. And if this is a new norm where hospitals and hospitals are trying to minimize the contact between patient and the physician, but unfortunately, pregnancy ultrasound scanning is one of the few imaging modalities that still requires a contact between patient and physician. So everybody's trying to minimize the contact, and so this means that specialists are actually not available for every case also right now. So we are trying to become more relevant for the new norm that's evolving in trying to reduce the examination times and bringing in virtual specialists through AI. So that's pretty much what we are working on right now.
Yeah. So at Origin Health, so our vision is to democratize quality prenatal care for every expecting mother. So our work will not stop until we reach this goal. And there's a long way for us to go, to be honest. It's probably not going to happen in the next 5 years, probably 10 years. So again, if you're asking about, okay, what's going to happen in the future for us, again, our hope is to be able to really democratize, and then every expecting mother in the world should get quality screening, no matter where they are, where they are in this world. So this is really our big vision.
Yeah, that's a beautiful vision, Jens, and I don't only hope, I know for a fact that you guys are gonna get there one day, and all the best for that. So
Thank you.
when we are talking about you as entrepreneurs, we look up to you, we look up to Origin Health and this vision that you just shared with us. So there are a lot of budding entrepreneurs. I'm there, and I'm being a little selfish here, to be frank. If you could just give us a few tips on, how do we look towards the future, a few tips for our budding entrepreneurs, our listeners even.
Any, like, this could be like any specific advice, like what is the one must thing you think that entrepreneurs should do?
For me, the two major things is, one is, if you're looking for a co-founder, yes, that is the first and foremost thing. The second one is, I think you should remain true to your inner consciousness and the purpose with which you actually wanted to start doing this. Because it's very evident that during this whole journey, you keep getting a lot of feedbacks from different angles, and you should not get lost in that. But of course, you need to take heed of what the market is also saying and whether it's actually a problem or not. But at the same time, don't lose your your inner identity and your inner value system with which you wanted to do this.
Right.
I
So
think all advice is contextual. So there's no single advice that's applicable for everyone. But if you were to kind of want me to pinpoint one thing, I'll probably leave one word for everyone, which is belief, right? Believe in what you're doing, believe in your vision, believe in your team, right? Believe in what's the world you want to see in the future. So I think this is the thing that's going to drive a lot of entrepreneurs, especially during hard times. It's the belief that, of your own skills, believe in what you're doing, believe in the company. I think this is the thing that's going to sustain you throughout, whether it's a COVID or your next crisis that's going to come up. Yeah. So have belief. Yeah.
wow, I mean, that is a great insight, right? Believe. So thanks a lot, Jens and Shripad and Origin Health for being such a great part of this event. And we'd like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in. And also thanks, Vaibhav, for being an amazing host.
Thank you to
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Bharadwaj, as well.
Thank you
And
so
thank
much.
you, Sripad. Thank you, Jens.
Thank you so much. Thank
Great
you.
talking to you.
Yeah.
Great
Thanks.
talking to you.